And about this part of the project, we started with having an analysis of the status today when it comes to energy auditing. And we can definitely see that there is a big need to scale up energy auditing, since this is actually the very first step on becoming more energy efficient in building, is to find out what measures can be done, how much energy am I using. And we can also see that this is a common problem, that we lack clear responsibility for implementing energy audit programs that really scales up this to reach all SMEs and building owners. So we need support schemes and financial incentives to get this going in a larger scale. We can also see that when we compare analyze the situation in the countries around the Baltic Sea region, that it's a crucial factor how many competent energy auditors that you actually have in your region or country. And also, when we analyze, we can see that there is quite a big difference in the amount and the standard of energy audits being done, that there is different ways of how ambitious we are when it comes to calculate the energy use and also energy measures. We have a little bit different ways of collecting and presenting data. And it could be a large variety from what person do they audit, in how many numbers of measures that are actually presented and how relevant they are. And this is, of course, difficult for someone else to judge if it's a high quality or not, if measures have been missed or not. And we have no common standard for how energy use should be distributed into different categories. For example, showing how much energy is used for ventilation, heating, cooling, lighting, and so on. And we have no standard for financial calculation methods. And also how the report is actually written and presented for the building owner varies quite a lot between the countries and also between energy auditors. And what we also have found is that neither of us have really a system for quality control of energy audits. So they are being done and they are reported, many of them, but nobody really checks the quality of them. And what we also have seen, that it's rarely that adaptation measures are included into energy audits. We can also see that the system of energy performance certificates that is obligatory in all our countries for buildings, this could actually be seen and be an energy audit if it had enough high quality and with also measures presented. When it comes to about having a platform or not for audits, we have found that all countries among us in the project have specific registers for the energy performance certificates. But the access to the data is rather difficult to have, and especially if you want to aggregate data and do benchmarking. And when it comes to a database for energy auditing in buildings and also enterprises, large or small, we have maybe a little bit of that in Latvia with the building information system, and in Sweden a register. But in neither of the cases we have a systematic way of collecting data that makes it possible to aggregate and analyze and benchmark different energy performance of buildings or SMEs. And we can also say that by doing this status quo report, by written that and publishing that, we have reached a new understanding about how we actually work with this in the different partner countries and what can be improved. So we have developed this digital platform called NEAD within the project, where data from energy audits has been uploaded in a systematic way that had made it possible to benchmark and compare and to find measures and be inspired by measures and measure calculations made in other energy audits from other partners. And when we conclude how it is to work with having such platform, we can agree that it is a great advantage of having a systematic way of collecting data, so that you can aggregate and actually find new valuable data on how much energy is used for different purposes within our countries and in different type of buildings. This data is valuable for further development of support schemes and energy efficiency programs and research and innovations and so on. We can also see that it makes benchmarking possible. And such platform that we did develop could be used with a few additional adjustments. That's what the Ecodoma consulting company found when they did an external evaluation of the platform. But we have also found that it could be difficult to do this together in the Baltic Sea regions, since we'd have some differences in how we work and how we do the energy audits. So the policy recommendations is that from the Ecodoma in their evaluation was due to the large differences, the audit requirements and standard, it could be difficult to introduce a common mandatory platform within the Baltic Sea region. It could be voluntary if, and it should be, and it's needed to have a unified, standardized way of presenting data. Such platform would need a long-term finance with someone being in charge of having a platform like that. And it would need some further improvement of the platform and also adapting it to different kind of buildings to make benchmarking more relevant. So the conclusion could then be that a platform of similar kind as the NEAD could be either introduced at national level as a new tool for non-existing registers to make it the good and right way from the start, or as an inspiration to develop existing registers and databases towards a system that makes these other things possible, as analyze, benchmark, and open access, and so on. Or it could be introduced at national level as an alternative to existing registers. So these would be the different, and partners have come to a little bit different conclusions when it comes to setting up such a platform. When we evaluate the whole work package or the part of the project when developing, improving energy auditing, some conclusions is that it is possible to harmonize and collect quality control and data and visualize them from audits. And that we have a great potential if we can do this in a uniform way with standardized data, not having audits presenting energy data in totally different ways, so you can not compare and not aggregate conclusions. And that a digital platform would then again enable benchmarking and generate new knowledge about energy performance. And a good thing with a database where you also upload measures and also calculated measures is, of course, then that an energy auditor or a building owner can go enter the database and find measures that have been presented for similar buildings in other cases, and from that get inspiration and maybe zoom in on what could be interesting for us to investigate further in our buildings. And in such database, of course, we can also include adaptation measures. Another, again, conclusion is the lack of quality control. And if you have such platform, since there is no quality control, we actually have a quality problem in some cases, and surprisingly quite often. And if you set up a platform where you upload data, it would also be a way, a possibility, a tool to actually by smart control measures in the system where you upload data, you can find errors and suspicious data, and you could have a way of actually controlling the data and increase the quality from that. And by training of the audit methodology and for energy auditors, and using and analyzing data from the database, the competence could be increased among energy auditors. And we also, so we stress really the need for not only country-wise and not also Baltic Sea region, but the whole European Union would gain a lot if we can agree on a unified methodology for energy audits, including not least standard units. We recommend that all use a digital database platform for collecting data from audits. And we should have stronger regulations and tougher implementation of the directives on more incentives to do voluntary energy audits, not only energy audits in large companies. And also, we would benefit if we had a clear guideline on how to connect and calculate CO2 emissions into energy measures and present them as well. So that was the policy recommendation that I have been asked to present in this workshop. Thank you very much.